Going the distance with local sports. This is the X Sports Network.
Got a dent, a ding, a scratch, or a bent fender? Major or minor, Car Country Collision Center in Leoma can fix you up. Car Country works with all insurance carriers, gives free estimates, can work on foreign and domestic vehicles, and has experience you can trust. They've been in business since 1990. Unfortunately, accidents happen, but you can get your car back on the road with as little hassle as possible with the help of Car Country. Call 931-852-4708 or stop by at 2567 Highway 43 South in Leoma.
For the best meal from south of the border, head to Cocina Real in Puente Grande for lunch and dinner. With a wide array of mouth-watering entrees, there's something for everyone on the menu. And you can't forget the cheese dip. They'll treat you like family, and you'll never leave hungry. Make Cocina Real Mexican Restaurant and Puente Grande Mexican Restaurant your choice for authentic cuisine, located in Lawrenceburg, Tennessee.
I'm Mike Keith, and my friends at Elliott Johnson Insurance have a great partner in Auto Owners Insurance. Auto Owners makes it easy to get life, home, car, or business insurance. Let Elliott Johnson Insurance find the Auto Owners policy that makes a difference in your life. Call Elliott Johnson Insurance at one of their 3 locations, Florence, Loretto, and Lawrenceburg. Elliott Johnson Insurance, moving forward for our clients every day.
Welcome to Employee Resources Credit Union, where you're more than just a number, you're family. We provide financial solutions that rise above those of traditional banks. With roots stretching back to 1964, we've served 4 generations during constant industry changes. We're known for our low fees and incredible rates. Join us and experience the credit union difference. ERCU, not for profit, for service.
Going the distance with local sports. This is the X Sports Network.
And welcome everybody in here to the X Sports Network for this Wednesday edition of the Mark My Words Sports Show. And folks, we've got a lot to get into, a lot going on here on the local high school side of things. We've got baseball and softball going on, and as you know, those are sports that never take a day off. We just finished up with 2 big series that's going on over my left and right shoulders. We had the Summertown Loretto series finish up last night in Loretto. We had the Tullahoma Lawrence County series wrap up in Lawrenceburg. So we will go over those. We'll go to game 1 actually on Monday night. Loretto Summertown Mustangs jumped out to a big lead. The offense was firing on all cylinders. I mean that's just the best way to put it. Let's see if I can pull up my stats from that game real quick. Yeah, just a big game from everyone. Raleigh Ellis had a multitude of hits, 4 hits, a couple extra base hits, a first home run of the season. It was just an all-around great performance by the Mustangs offense as they were really firing on all cylinders. Like I mentioned, a bunch of extra base hits, a bunch of hard hit balls, and then you go to the pitching staff. Kason Springer goes 5 2/3 of a 6-inning game, 10 strikeouts, was 1 strikeout away from a complete game. But then you bring Dylan Thompson out of center field, gets 1 strikeout, or I believe a ground ball actually to end the game. But nonetheless, an outstanding performance by Loretto on Monday. Summertown not able to get the bats going, but that was a quick change when they headed down to Loretto yesterday. Summertown jumped out to a 3-0 lead after 1 and was 6-0 after 2 as they jumped all over Mason Tidwell, the starting pitcher for the Mustangs. So looking at the and Braden Keaton had an outstanding start for Summertown on the mound. They went with the senior right-hander, heavy on the breaking ball, and it was good. He didn't give up a hit until the 5th inning. Had a bit of a walk issue, but that was just some patience at the plate shown by some of the Mustangs. You had a couple of walks drawn by Braden Bennett. Kason Springer was able to get on base twice, as was Raleigh Ellis. Mason Tidwell had an RBI double, but a lot of the Mustangs' action came late. Were able to get 6 runs in the 4th and 5th innings combined. But man, anytime Loretto was able to answer and try to cut into that Summertown lead, they came right back with it. 4 home runs from the Eagles on Tuesday night. Ryder Blackwood hit one out to left center field, an opposite field home run for his first home run of his career. Aiden Perez hits his 2nd home run of the year. Kason Blackwood an inside the park home run, and then Jackson Bennett a home run for his own out to left center field as the ball was jumping out of Loretto last night. I would say, and you look at the top 4, and the Summertown lineup was just outstanding. Ryder Blackwood had 2 walks, 2 stolen bases, a double, a home run, 3 runs scored. Just an outstanding night from the leadoff man. Perez, the right fielder, had a ground rule double, an RBI double, and then a home run on his 3 for 5 night. Kason Blackwood, a home run, an intentional walk, was hit by a pitch and scored all 3 times. So a great night for him. And then you go to the 4 hole with Jackson Bennett, a double, a single, a home run, and then another double on his 4 for 5 night. And the bats were there early. They were there often. Perez came in relief for Keaton, was able to slam the door on the Mustangs in the 7th. As they split that season series. Loretto now 5-4 overall on the season, 2-2 in district play. Summertown moves to 9-5 overall on the season, 1-1 in district play. So we'll take a look at the District 9 standings. Forest dropped Game 2 last night to Cascade, so a bit of an update in the standings. So still at first is Forest, 7-6 overall, 3-1 on the season. Tied in second place with a 2-2 district record is Loretto and Cascade. Again, the Mustangs and the champions split last week. In 4th place with a 1-1 record, the Summertown Eagles, and then in 5th place with an 0-2 record, the Community Vikings. It's safe to say that this district is going to be extremely tough because really anybody 1 through 4 is going to be a tough ask. And looking at Community, a tough overall record and a tough district record, but man, they gave Forest everything they could handle, and that series was actually leading in Game 1. Game 2 got a little bit away from them, but a really nice, really tough district, and it's going to be fun to see how that district tournament goes. Moving on over to the 3A side of things with Lawrence County, completed a season sweep over the last season's state semifinalists, the Tullahoma Wildcats. So Lawrence County up to 12-4 on the season, 2-0 overall in district play. Picked up a 13-2 win Monday night at Tullahoma, and offense is a little slower, but a 2-1 win last night here at Tom Cruise Field. And man, you look at it, this is probably the quietest game for Lawrence County when it comes to the bats, but even though they were slow, the pitching was outstanding, and a big win for Lawrence County, up to 12-4 on the season, as they're starting to look like a real contender in 3A. Onto the softball side of things, Lady Mustangs off until their district matchup. I believe that one coming up tomorrow against the Forest Lady Rockets. Going to be a tough matchup. We saw them take on Summertown earlier in the actually it was last night. Lawrence County 9-7, picking up a win last night over Giles County in a game that felt like it would never end. I believe went all the way to 11 innings. It may have just been 10, but still an incredibly back and forth game. And the Lady Cats able to come out on top as they are now 9-7 on the year, 3-1 in district play. So we'll go back over, and then Summertown obviously with the 9-0 win over Forest last night. So, looking at the District 9 AA standings in softball, at first place, the Summertown Lady Eagles, 12-3 overall, 2-0 in district play, followed closely behind by the Community Vi Queens, 10-4 overall, 2-0 in district play. In third place, the Forest Lady Rockets, 5-6 overall, 0-1 in district play. Lady Mustangs with a similar district record at 0-1, and then Cascade right now, the Lady Champs, 0-2 overall in district play. And again, I mean, Summertown and Community are as good as it comes in 2A when you look at the softball side of things. It feels kind of unfortunate for the other teams that are stuck in there with them, but I mean, I'm really intrigued when that matchup comes up, both of the Summertown Community matchups, because that, I mean, you see Summertown Community is a continuously a good team, and we saw when they played the Lady Mustangs a couple of weeks ago, so a very good Community Vi Queens team, and I'm really excited for when that matchup rolls around. Looking at the softball side of things, tied in first place with a 3-1 district record are the Franklin County Rebelettes and the Lawrence County Lady Cats. And listen, right now that Franklin County game is the only difference between these two teams. Followed closely behind by Giles County, 1-2 overall in district play. Tullahoma, 1-3, and then Marshall County at 0-1. Trying to keep those district standings as up to date as I can. And listen, there's a local team either in first place or second place in every single one of these districts. I mean, the Mustangs right now tied for second in District 9 in baseball. Lawrence County in first place in District 12 AAA. And then you go to the softball side. Summertown in the lead of things on the softball side, and then Lawrence County tied for first right now with Franklin County. So it has been a good year locally when it comes to softball and baseball. So looking at what we got coming up today on X Sports, not a huge day, obviously. Wednesdays are going to be a little dim, I guess the word would be when it comes to sports. But we do have two local games going on today. Summertown is taking on a team all the way from Terre Haute, Indiana. Terre Haute North Vigo High School from Indiana is making their way down to Lawrence County. Have 3 games down here this weekend. Again, it is their spring break, so we're able to come down, and they're going to get 3 great teams in the area. Summertown tonight at 6 p.m. at Summertown High School on the X Sports Network. Tomorrow they'll be taking on the Loretto Mustangs at 6:30 at Loretto, and then on Friday they will be taking on Lawrence County, and then we're also going to have a Summertown-Lawrence County baseball game that night too. As of now, ton of fun going on. And then coming up here, actually should be probably wrapping up about the time that this is uploaded. Colbert Heights and Sheffield doing battle at 3 p.m. at Sheffield High School, our Alabama high school game of the day. So when we return, we are going to jump back to the college side of things because, folks, it's sort of kind of like that, I guess, Black Monday, so to speak, when it comes to college football. Is we've got coaches moving, we've got players moving, and we've got a ton going on. And we're going to catch back up on baseball. I promised I would, but we also got to talk about the Sweet 16 and the Elite 8. So that will be when we return here on the Mark My Words Sports Show.
Comprehensive care with a compassionate touch. That will always be the guarantee at Encompass Healthcare in Etheridge, Tennessee. Whether you're looking for primary or urgent care, x-ray services, or weight loss treatments, the team at Encompass is equipped to serve your needs today. The doors are open Monday through Thursday from 8 to 5 and from 8 to noon on Fridays. Make an appointment with providers Kendra Brown, Tori Cox, or Ellie Brown today. That's Encompass Healthcare, located on Highway 43 North in Etheridge, next door to Chapman Tire.
For decades, First Class Charter has provided high-quality motor coach transportation services to the Tennessee Valley. With numerous safety and cleanliness accreditations, First Class Charter is ready to make your group trip a reality. Contact us today by visiting firstclasscharter.net. First Class Charter, the official motor coach company of the North Alabama Lions.
Flooring sets the tone throughout your home.
For flooring that makes the right first impression, start by choosing us, Floored by Justin.
A one-stop flooring destination. Our new location stands alone for unequaled customer service and selection. Owner Justin Story's mastery of custom hardwood inlays means every room can have a custom look. Discover how the right choice of hardwood, laminate, carpet, or tile can set the tone in your home. Contact Floored by Justin today.
The Summit of Lawrenceburg is the premier senior and assisted living community in the region. The Summit makes it home for you or your loved one with diverse suites that welcome and encourage community, plus gathering spaces, neighborhoods, daily activities, and a wonderful staff that supports you every day.
Hi, I'm Tara Blue. I'm the new director of the Summit, and we would like to invite you and your family to come and tour our facility. We would love to see you here.
Going the distance with local sports. This is the X Sports Network.
And welcome back to the Mark My Words Sports Show here on the X Sports Network. I'm your host, Michael Marks. We just wrapped up with local sports again. We broke down the Loretto Summertown baseball series that just wrapped up last night. You can check out Inside the Locker Room with Mustangs head baseball coach Zach Curtis and an outfielder and pitcher Kason Springer just was uploaded earlier today. We broke down the Lawrence County and Tullahoma series, and then on the softball side of things, Lady Mustangs off until their matchup with Forest coming up later this week. The district matchup, Lady Cats getting a big win in extra innings over Giles County, and then Summertown a big win over Forest 9-0 last night. And again, a team from our county is either in first or second in every single district they play in. But let's jump to the college side of things with something I've been waiting to talk about. So LSU has fired head basketball coach Matt McMahon and goes back to a familiar face in Will Wade. And, man, I mean, this is something that I have been extremely kind of upset about, and not in the normal sense I would be when a team hires a coach. Usually I'm like, oh, gosh, I can't think of one off the top of my head recently, but just a big head coaching hire. I mean, Kyle Whittingham to Michigan, that's a big one. But something this isn't like he's going to go take this job and win a bunch of national championships. I'm just a little upset at the way that LSU went about it. So Will Wade was fired from LSU in the spring of 2022, right before the NCAA tournament. Had been, it was an FBI wiretap scandal that goes all the way back to 2019, talking about making strong expletive offers to recruits, a ton of violations, and then again, Will Wade was fired back on March 12th. LSU was about to play in the tournament that week. I'm trying to, and it did have to do with the wiretap. According to an NCAA notice of allegations, it was obtained by ESPN on Saturday, and this is all the way back in 2022. Through an open records request, there are 8 Level 1 violation allegations in LSU's notice. 7 are alleged to be tied to the men's basketball program, 1 back to the football side of things. So, Will Wade and LSU were in a ton of trouble. There was a bunch of sanctions, and they were going to have to go look elsewhere. Trying to get those exact sanctions, but so they hire Matt McMahon, who was a great head coach. So in June of 2023, LSU's men's basketball program was served with 3 years of probation, scholarship reductions, and recruiting restrictions. Things that make it very hard to, win games, get players. So, had the 3-year probation, and, Matt McMahon's going to have to ride the ship. So, and this wasn't some, I guess you could say loser of a head coach. This was a guy that coached Murray State, had John Morant. He and Murray State had some good years after John Morant as well. Coached at Oak Ridge High School in Tennessee. Coached at Tennessee for a little bit, in 01 and 02. So had a great career, and again, has that run with Murray State. They were 26-6, made the NCAA tournament. The next year was the John Morant year where they made the round of 32. The next year they were 23-9, and again, there was no postseason that year. A little bit of a slow 2020, but then in 2021, 2022, went 31-3, 18-0 in the OVC, won the conference, and then made it to the second round of the NCAA tournament, and he gets hired at LSU. First year, 14-19, 14th in the SEC, not great. The next year, 17-16 at 9-9 in the SEC, tied for 7th in the conference, made it to the NIT. But again, still restrictions, still a transfer portal, so it's going to be hard for LSU to keep up. They go 14-18 the next year. 15th in the SEC, only 3 conference wins. Then in 2025-2026, this past season, 15-17 overall, 3-15 in the conference, 16th overall. Last place. So, the sanctions now lifted, and what does LSU do? They go back to the guy that gave them those sanctions in Will Wade, and, I mean, they did Matt McMahon extremely dirty. This is a guy who came into a bad situation at LSU. He was trying to make that jump up from the mid-major ranks to the high major ranks with LSU. Is stuck with the team with sanctions for 3 seasons, and now as soon as LSU gets out of those sanctions, because they weren't there the first year he was there, now, well, they're in a, they've had the 3-year sanctions, they're in a bad spot, and then they just can them in favor of going back to the guy that got you in that trouble in the first place. But, I mean, you look at some of the other coaches at LSU, and there's a certain persona about them. I mean, Lane Kiffin, Kim Mulkey, Jay Johnson. All I gotta say. I mean, their resumes and their personalities, all that speak for itself. Hey, I mean, Will Wade's a perfect fit for that group, and now that everything he got in trouble with is legal, I expect we see LSU fighting for some SEC. Not maybe championships very soon, but definitely definitely going to get a look. I mean, in his 5 years at LSU, I mean, LSU was really good. 18 and 15th, in his first year. 25 and 5 in his second year. Won the SEC, made it to the Sweet 16. 21 and 10 in 2019-2020. Finished second in the conference. Obviously, that was the year that there was no COVID. Made it to the round, the second round the next year. Made it to the round of 64 the year after that, and obviously he wasn't coaching that game. Not sure how far LSU would have really made it that year. Let's see who they played in the first round, because I don't think it was a crazy. Okay, that is going to be way too hard to dig through. Here we go. Lost to a Iowa State team in the first round. That it was TJ Ottelberger's first year. They made the Sweet 16, and it was a fun team. That was, had some familiar names. Obviously, a guy like Caleb Grill. We remember him from Missouri last year. Did not have Tyrese Halliburton on this team. I believe that was a little bit earlier before Ottelberger, but got beat by a good Iowa State team. And you look at Iowa State, they beat LSU, they beat Wisconsin, and then were upset by Miami in the Sweet 16. It was a fun year of college basketball, I will say that. But back to the main point, good hire for LSU, and apparently Governor Jeff Landry had been pushing for this return for nearly a year. Back when the McNeese job opened up, or when Will Wade was leaving McNeese State back a couple years ago. Also, yesterday morning, NC State, obviously with the head coaching opening, announced they are hiring Tennessee assistant coach Justin Gainey. I think that's a huge get for NC State. Gainey's a guy that has been in the push for coaching jobs over the past couple of years. I think it's a huge loss for Tennessee and a huge pickup for NC State. Gainey's kind of been the number 2 behind Rick Barnes for the last 4 or 5 years, and look, Tennessee just made 3 straight Elite Eights. You go back the year before that in a Sweet 16, and Justin Gainey's really been one of the guys that spearheaded that run. But I think it's a good pickup for NC State, obviously, getting Gainey back home, so to speak. Just hope it doesn't go sour necessarily, because there's a lot of coaches that go back home and things don't work out. And obviously, Penny Hardaway is the one that's coming to mind, but there's been plenty of others. So hopefully things work out, because I think the ACC is in a spot right now where you can be where you're able to have a good recruiting class, have a good portal class, and in 2 to 3 years, you could be a top dog, because all you got to fight with is Duke. And we're not sure what North Carolina is going to look like with who their head coach is going to be, and we'll get to that in a little bit. So, and Tennessee's lost now 2 huge recruiters over the last 2 seasons. Rod Clark left Tennessee for Indiana following the 2024-25 season, and now Gainey going to NC State yesterday. two big losses for Tennessee, but listen, Rick Barnes has been in the coaching world for so long that I'm sure that he's going to be able to find another assistant or promote somebody. Don't think it's going to necessarily be too big of a loss for the Volunteers. Georgia big man Sumto Surreal has announced that he is entering the transfer portal. He's going to be one of the more highly sought after big men in the portal. More the old style back to the basket rebound kind of guy, but was an extremely good rebounder, an extremely good defender. And two teams looking at him right now, Arkansas definitely heavily in the lead. But I think that the Vols, Tennessee, should take a look at Surreal. Tennessee is losing pretty much a carbon copy of him and Felix Okpara this season. You bring Cyril in and you're pretty much just getting the same guy back. And Surreal has spent some time at the high school levels with a couple former Volunteers. So it's definitely, it could be a match, but obviously it looks like Arkansas, the team in the lead for him, and get him in there with Coach Cowan and those guys. That's going to be a scary looking Arkansas team. UNC obviously fired head coach Hubert Davis last week, and it's been another big thing. A lot of people in the media kind of shaming UNC, I guess, for firing Hubert Davis, because everybody had this notion in their mind that he was fired for what happened this season. And I just don't think that's the case. I mean, if you watch college basketball, you know enough about college basketball. I mean, you think blue blood, if North Carolina's not the third or fourth name out of your mouth, it may be the first or second. I mean, when you think of college basketball and you think of elite teams, you think of Duke, you think of Kansas, you think of North Carolina, you think of Kentucky, you used to think of UCLA, you can maybe throw Villanova in there, UConn, definitely one of those teams. Arizona is definitely making a case. They've been consistently really good. Gonzaga, but North Carolina in there. So the first year, Hubert Davis, they comes in, a North Carolina guy, played under Dean Smith back in the late 80s, early 90s, and a North Carolina guy, was a 3-year starter, a good shooter, a good scorer, averaged 20 points per game his senior year in 1991 when North Carolina made it to the Sweet 16. During his time at North Carolina, made all the way to 4 Sweet 16s. One year made it to the Final Four his junior year. Didn't win a national championship there, but had an opportunity his first year as a coach. Comes in replacing Roy Williams. They go 29-10. Not the greatest year ever, obviously, but they get a 9 seed or an 8 seed, I believe, in the NCAA tournament that year. It was an 8 seed. They were the 8 seed in the East region, and boy, they go on a run. And that was a loaded team. I mean, you look at the starting lineup that they threw out there every night. It was, you had R.J. Davis, Caleb Love, Brady Manick, the transfer they had brought in from, I believe, Oklahoma. You had Walker Kessler on that roster, a young guy. Hadn't really made his worth yet, but then you got guys like, obviously, Caleb Love, R.J. Davis, Armando Bacot, Brady Manick, Puff Johnson, Leaky Black, just a ton of NFL or NBA caliber talent, and had an iffy year. Had some big losses, had some big wins. You look, they lost, I believe, both regular season. They split the regular season matchups with Duke. Obviously, lost at home and won. Lost at home by 20, and then went on the road and won at Cameron by 13 over one of the best Duke teams I've ever seen. And then they just go on a tear in the NCAA tournament. Run through Marquette, able to escape Baylor, blow by a UCLA team, upset the first 15 seed, ever making the Elite 8 in St. Peter's, beat Duke again in the Final Four in Coach K's last game ever. And then you had like a 25-point lead over Kansas in the national championship game, and you lost it. And that's where everything started going downhill. Because the story was, hey, I don't think North Carolina needs to worry. Everybody's coming back except Brady Manick. And then they go 20-13, 11-9 in the conference, 7th overall in the ACC, and they decline an NIT invitation. So then 2023-2024 comes around. And North Carolina wins the ACC in the regular season. Had a pretty good year. Still had Leaky Black, Puff Johnson, Caleb Love. Those are guys that had left from the year before. Brought in Harrison Ingram from Stanford. Brought in Cormac Ryan from Notre Dame. Jalen Withers from Louisville. Brought in and then had a recruiting class that featured 5-star point guard Elliot Cadeau. And so you got a pretty good team. Elliot Cadeau, R.J. Davis, Armando Baycott, Seth Trimble, Cormac Ryan, a lot of names, Harrison Ingram, a lot of names you know. And preseason around the top 20 mark, made it all the way to number 3 in the mid parts of the season. Kind of lingered there at the end, and then lost to Alabama in the Sweet 16. And that was a very good Alabama team. I believe that was an Alabama team that made the Final Four. But you're North Carolina. You're supposed to win that game. The next year, I mean, it was even worse. You made the NCAA tournament because at that point we were just letting anybody in. 23-14, 13-7 in conference, 4th overall, and you lose in the first round. And not only do you lose in the first round, you have to win the play-in game over San Diego State, and then you lose to an Ole Miss team that I get made the Sweet 16 that year. But again, you're North Carolina. You're not supposed to lose these games. And then this year, everything is going great. I mean, you look, they're 24-6. Heading into their last game against Duke for College Game Day at Cameron Indoor, and then Caleb Wilson breaks his thumb. And this is a team that battled injuries all year. Seth Trimble was out, missed some time. Henry Vesar missed some time. And everybody's, hey, why are we firing a coach and his best player got hurt? Well, you lose that final game to Duke by 15. You lose in the first round of the ACC tournament to Clemson, and that should go ahead and tell you right now you're not winning a national championship. No team has ever lost their opening round in their conference tournament and went around to win a national championship. And then in the first round, you're a 6 seed. You got an 11 seed VCU. It should be no problem. And then you blow a 19-point lead and blow it in overtime against VCU, who turned around in the next round and got demolished by Illinois. I mean, a 21-point loss. And it probably would have been the same, and maybe worse, if North Carolina played them. So no, Hubert Davis did not get fired because he lost with his best player injured. He lost because he drastically underperformed, and I think, I'm not going to say tarnish is the word, but definitely lowered the value of North Carolina in a lot of people's eyes. So where does UNC go from this? It's widely known that they're going to have to go outside the UNC coaching family for this hire. And there were reports that their coaching search had allegedly been pushed back due to the Final Four, which tells you what kind of names they're looking at. Obviously, Tommy Lloyd, Dusty May, Arizona and Michigan's head coaches are probably the top 2 guys on their list. Whether those guys would want to leave, I wouldn't. I think Dusty May has Michigan in a great spot, and I think Tommy Lloyd has Arizona in a great spot. And that's not just because of how good they've been this year. You look at what Dusty May did at FAU, built them into a program, and then takes the big job at Michigan. It was an iffy year last year, but they made the tournament, and we're a good team. This year, has a great recruiting class, has a great transfer portal class, and they're one of the most dominant teams in the country beside Tommy Lloyd's team in Arizona, who has been right there so many years and maybe just has the makeup to be there. TJ Otzelberger, Iowa State, is a name that he's taken his name. I believe the wording was he had. I don't remember exactly the terminology, but he was taking his name out of the coaching search. I don't look at that as, I won't leave. I just look at that they're not on his radar right now. I believe that was the terminology. Nate Oates from Alabama was another name. He said in press conferences pretty soon after those rumors coming out that he had been in works with the Alabama athletic department to get a big new deal. Mark Byington from Vanderbilt was another name thrown in there, with ties to the North Carolina area, especially with coaching at James Madison and being around that area. But he signed a new contract and is staying put in Nashville. So I'm really kind of unsure. We'll see if there's any rumors going around, but I really have no idea who you go for. Obviously, Rick Barnes made a joke. It says, "Hey, I'm from North Carolina." But I don't see Rick Barnes at his age wanting to leave Knoxville and try to build something up, because right now, I would say over the last four or 5 years, Tennessee's a better program than North Carolina. I will just say it. I mean, North Carolina is bringing in 5 stars every year. Tennessee's brought him, 3 maybe since then? 3 straight Elite Eights, 4 straight Sweet 16s, 8 straight tournaments. It's the 4th highest, or the 5th highest active streak in the country, behind Michigan State, behind Gonzaga, behind Purdue, and behind Houston, and tied with Houston. There's a couple teams I didn't say in there. There was no Kansas, no Kentucky, no Duke. Now, I would argue that Kansas and Duke are in better shape than those teams, but than Tennessee. Speaking of Kentucky guard Jalon Lowe has announced that he is entering the transfer portal. Transferred in from Pitt not last season, season before last, and really never got things going. Was projected to be the point guard for this Kentucky team, and blows out his shoulder, and really unfortunate. So I think you can also look at that as a partial reason to why Kentucky was down this year, because their starting point guard and their starting big man were not there. I know a lot of people, including myself, have given them a lot of grief about the $25 million, $22 million roster. Well, Jalon Lowe is getting a lot of that money, and Jaden Quaintance is getting a lot of that money, and I believe the whole initial starting 5 that Mark Pope wanted to throw out there, I think they played 5 games together, if that. So Kentucky's making a move. They're looking to hire Jackson State head men's basketball coach Mo Williams to join Mark Pope's staff as an assistant next season. This comes following a week following Mo Williams' son Mason committing to Kentucky. And then Alabama has hired Pauline Love as their next head women's basketball coach. She had been an assistant coach and recruiting coordinator with the Crimson Tide over the past 2 seasons, and was with Arkansas in the same position from 2017 to 2024. So let's look at the Sweet 16 and the Elite 8. Obviously, we'll go back and look at my picks and how awful they were, because they were. I mean, there's no nice way of saying it. So we'll go look at... Well, both of my champions are out, but we'll take a look at my what I thought was going to happen picks. And listen, the first round went great. I got 2 games wrong. And I picked Duke over St. John's. I had UConn over Michigan State. I had Arizona over Arkansas. And I had Purdue over Texas. Then you go to the Midwest region. I had Michigan over Alabama. And I made my pick for Iowa State before I knew Joshua Jefferson was out, and you saw how big of a difference that made. We'll get into that one in a little bit. I picked Iowa over Nebraska, and I picked Houston over Illinois. I didn't think Illinois would have the defensive toughness or the offensive toughness to keep up with what Houston provided, and that was just flat out wrong. So we'll go first to the Duke-St. John's game. You look, St. John's did what they did all year. They kind of struggled to score. Didn't turn the ball over a whole lot. 19 assists on 29 made shots, but they got out-rebounded bad. And it didn't even lead to Duke getting a lot more shots. There were actually 8 more shots in this game for St. John's, but you look at the free throw line. That's where a lot of games are won. St. John's 4 for 8. Duke 15 of 24. Neither percentage great, but if you're going to get there 16 more times than a team, you're going to win the game. Isaiah Evans, 25 points, a double-double from Cam Boozer, 22 and 10. Caleb Foster, 11 points, 3 rebounds, 2 assists off the bench. I believe all came in the second half as well. And Duke heading to the Elite 8. St. John's, unfortunate that really they didn't have a lot more help. And listen, they shot the ball somewhat well from 3, but the 2-point field goal percentage has got to get better, and they just weren't big enough to match up with Duke on the interior. Michigan State and UConn. This was defense. This was big boy basketball, to put it the least. And I'll tell you, Taurus Reed and has been the most dominant big man probably in the tournament. And I'm saying back to the basket kind of big man. I'm not talking about Yaxel Lindeborg that's running up and down the floor. I think he is by far the best big man that's been in this tournament. I mean, had the 31 and 27 night, goes for 20 and 5 against Michigan State. Alex Caravan, a good night, 17.7 rebounds, 12 points from solo ball. And this was a game where Jeremy Fierce couldn't get it going. Jackson Kohler couldn't get it going. And Cohen Carr didn't really have a great shooting night either. It was a team 4 of 16 from 3. And we're able to get to the free throw line a little bit more, but it was just one of those games where you needed to make shots, and UConn did, and Michigan State wasn't at that same level. We'll go to the Iowa-Nebraska game, the battle of the corn, so to speak. And listen, I kind of called it going in. I said that I didn't see Bennett Sturridge having a bad game 3 games in a row. Goes out there, plays 40 minutes, 20 points, was huge. Tate Sage and Alvaro Folgaris off the bench were also great, combined for 6 threes between those two guys, 6 of 10 from 3 from those two guys. But listen, Iowa shot the ball outstanding from three. They passed the ball. They didn't have a lot of turnovers, and they forced some turnovers. And you go look at the Cornhuskers. If your name wasn't Price Sanford or Braden Frager, he didn't play too well. And, they looked at Rink Moss, 4-15 from the field, 0-7 from three. A tough going for Nebraska. But listen, this is a Nebraska program that had never won an NCAA tournament game before this season, and now they have two. And we're a favorite to make the Elite Eight, and unfortunately ran into a very good Iowa team. Illinois-Houston was a snooze fest, 24-22 at the half. Not good shooting, slow pace of play, and, man, Houston was just... this is the first time I've ever seen a Houston team get moved around like they were. JoJo Tugler was non-existent. Chris Signac, non-existent. Kingston Flemings did not shoot well. Emmanuel Sharp really did not shoot well, from outside at least. And they weren't getting much help off the bench. Looking at Illinois, though, David Merkovich, 14-10, great game. Keaton Wagler, 13-12. I mean, that's your point guard going in there and getting 12 rebounds. Colin Boswell had a great game. Tommy Ivasic played well. And then you get 13 points from Stojakovic off the bench. When that guy is able to come in and produce, because listen, this was a game where 60 points wins you the game. You're not going to need a whole lot of guys to put up, we don't need a 25 or 30 from this guy, but hey, if you're getting 9 from here, from one guy, 5 from the next, 6 from the next, getting guys hitting multiple shots, 2 or 3 shots a game, that really makes this Illinois team dangerous. And that is our left side of the bracket, the Elite Eight. Arizona, Arkansas, not a whole lot to talk about. Arizona, they're big, they're physical, they're awesome. I mean, they got to the free throw line 40 times, 13 times more than Arkansas, and they were able to shoot at a 65% clip when Arkansas couldn't hit a shot if they wanted to. Darius Acuff struggled from outside. Half his points came from the line, it feels like. Billy Richmond was all right. Malik Thomas was as well. But a lot of the big men, Trevin Brazil, Malik Ewan, I guess you could throw Nick Pringle in there as well. I mean, they just got big-bodied. And Krivas wasn't even a huge scorer. You just look at everybody that played more than 15 minutes for Arizona in that game scored at least 14 points. 15 from Karchenkov. He was great. Koa Pete with 21 points, 14 points, 5 rebounds from Krivas, 23 points on just 11 shots from Braden Burries. Jaden Bradley able to get 14 points. And you look, everybody in the starting lineup, except the big man, took at least 6 free throws. If you're able to get to the line and knock them down, that's what makes this Arizona team the team that can win it all. And Purdue, oh man, what a game between the Boilermakers and the Longhorns. And I thought that Purdue's size would give Texas problems, and they did. Trey Kaufman ran 20 points, 8 boards. Oscar Clough with 11.6 rebounds. And then you go to the bench with Daniel Jacobson didn't play very much. But he didn't need to. I mean, Wren and Clough locked down the interior. Vokatitis was able to get nothing going. Tremont Mark had a great game. Dalen Swain, if he was able to hit, if he was shooting like normal, if Jordan Pope was shooting like normal, Texas wins that game. But you got to give credit to Trey Kaufman, Wren, to Oscar Clough, C.J. Cox, really the entire starting lineup. Because there is not one stat that you can look at and just be like, that was the difference. I mean, it was a 1 rebound difference in favor of Purdue. It was Texas had a couple more turnovers, but you get the tip in with Trey Kaufman, Wren. A lot of people think it was over the back. I don't think that's a call you can make in that situation. Sure, it sends the game to overtime. It's not like it loses the game for anybody if you make that call, but again, that's one of those I don't like a call at the end deciding the game, and that was a lack thereof, and I'm okay with that. Michigan and Alabama. A lot of the same stuff that can be said about the Arkansas-Michigan game can be said about the Arkansas-Arizona game can be said about the Alabama-Michigan game. Alabama was just on the interior, couldn't hang, and that's nothing against Alabama. That is props to Yaxel Lindeborg, props to Morez Johnson, props to Ade Mara. None of them played their greatest game because, Alabama gets up and down so quick that those guys were struggling. But, man, Yaxel Lindeborg, 23 points, 12 rebounds, 7 assists. Whew, that kid is a load. And then Roddy Gale and Trey McKinney with 16 points off the bench, 17 points off the bench for McKinney, 16 for Roddy Gale, and then Elliot Cadeau, 17 points, 7 rebounds, 1 turnover, or 17 points, 5 rebounds, 7 assists to 1 turnover. And Lindenborg, 7 assists to 2 turnovers. These guys are swinging the ball around, 22 assists on 33 made shots, and not turning it over. And then the rebounds is where they really controlled the game. 46 rebounds to 32. Were able to take 10 more free throws than Alabama and only a couple less shots. Alabama, 47 three-point attempts, only made 14 of them. If they were able to shoot 50% from three, I thought that there was no chance they lose this game. And that would have been true. That's hitting 8 more threes. That's 20 more points. You win the game by 10. Alabama had the lead at the half, but Michigan, man, they just wear you down. And talking about a team that wore a team down, Tennessee. Didn't watch as much of this game as I would have liked to. Obviously, traveling it wasn't the easiest to watch, but, man, the lack of Joshua Jefferson in this game, or just the him being out, was the difference in the game. The only thing I have to tell you is that Tennessee out-rebounded Iowa State in the Sweet 16, 43-22. That is all I have to say. Now, Taman Lipsey, Nate Heisey did everything in their power to keep Iowa State in that game. But again, Heisey went a little cold in the second half. And then I think the most impressive thing was the way Tennessee defended Milan Momcilovic. Momcilovic was 51% from 3, 48, somewhere in the 49 to 51% from 3. Hitting half the threes he takes this year. That's insane. He is the number 1 3-point shooter in the country. And he went 2 for 7 from outside. Tennessee stayed in front of him the entire night. I mean, it was a collection of guys. There were times you'd look up and J.P. Estrella was guarding the guy. And he did a great job. And Tennessee's bigs. I mean, 12 and 10 from Felix Okpara. 16 points from Jacoby Gillespie. He had a great game. Nate Ament was showing his 3-point prowess. 18 points for him. And 11 and 10 off the bench for Jalen Carey. A huge win for the Vols. So, we go to the Elite Eight. We'll start in the South with Iowa and Illinois. Bennett Sturts played his heart out, and unfortunately for the first time in this tournament, he didn't have much help. Tate Sage had 10 points, but nobody else hit more than 2 shots in the game. And to win an Elite Eight game, you're going to need more than one player to hit more than 2 shots. Then you go look at the other side for Illinois. 9 points, 12 rebounds for David Mirkovic. He's been really big for them. Tommy Ivasic with 13 points. But Keaton Wagler was able to go shot for shot with Bennett Sturts. Sturts had 24. Wagler had 25. Quite literally the only difference was that Wagler was able to get to the line a couple more times than Sturts was. But Sturts, 4 threes for him. And, man, it's tough to see that team go, but man, what a run Iowa had, and Illinois in the Final Four. And I believe it's the first time since 2005, if I'm not wrong. And that was a really good Illinois basketball team. Again, they were the national runner-up, lost by 5 points to North Carolina in the title game. That was a team that had Darren Williams. Yeah, that's a really good team. I would say their starting 5, you had Darren Williams, Luther Head, D. Brown. I remember him. He was an incredible athlete. James Augustine and Roger Powell on that team. Went 37-2. I mean, you look at their 2 losses. They lost at Ohio State by 1 point, their last game of the regular season. Ran through the Big Ten tournament. Made an outstanding comeback against Arizona in the Elite Eight. I believe we're down like 20-something in the second half. And had that game at Rosemont, All-State Arena just up the road. But, man, I mean, really ran through everybody and then ran into a North Carolina team in Roy Williams' second year that was just extremely good. I mean, that was a team that had Raymond Felton, Rayshawn Terry, Wes Miller, Marvin Williams, Rashad McCants. I mean, that was a really good team that, and there are a couple of losses in the season. You lost to Georgia Tech, to Duke, to Wake. I mean, that was a 4th-ranked Wake Forest team, and I believe that's around the time that, Danny Manning was the head coach, and I believe that year they were, led by one Chris Paul. That was a pretty good team, so to speak. You look at that Duke team. That was some J.J. Redick Duke teams that were really, really good. So what I'm getting at through all this is what a run by Illinois. I mean, this is a team that's making runs with some legendary squads. So cool to see them in that spot. We'll talk about a blowout just for a quick second. Michigan was a lot better of a team at putting the ball in the basket. Now, Tennessee was able to put up 20 more shots, 20 less free throws, which can hurt, and I think fouls were a huge part in this game, but Tennessee kept up with them on the rebounding battle and forced more turnovers. The only problem was there was about a 5-minute stretch in the first half where Tennessee didn't score a point. And obviously, a lot of guys were in foul trouble. I mean, Felix Akpar had 3 fouls in the first half. Dwayne Brown had 2 fouls in the first half. Jalen Carey had 2 fouls in the first half. Everybody did. I think Ament did as well. And for Michigan, I mean, Ade Mara picked up 2, but he came back in and played, did not pick up another foul until the second half. Morez Johnson, the same thing. And I do think the fouls being, pretty much 4 for Tennessee to every Michigan 3. It wasn't crazy. And I'm not trying to say that there was any argument for Tennessee to win this game, because there wasn't. I mean, it was just bad. I mean, there was some faith in the first couple of minutes, but Tennessee went 5 minutes without scoring. Michigan went on a 21-0 run, and that was the game. I mean, Tennessee was with them physically the entire game, I will say that. But when it comes to scoring points, Michigan had it, and Tennessee did not. I mean, you look at Nate Ament 2 for 12, and this isn't me bashing anybody. This is just, it was tough shooting. 4 for 8 for Akpar, 3 for 9 for Estrella. Those are guys that are playing 2 feet from the basket. 8 of 22 for Gillespie. 1 of 5 from Bishop Boswell, all wide open threes. Dwayne Brown 3 for 5. Carey 3 for 7. Ethan Berg didn't hit a shot. Troy Henderson didn't hit a shot. Those guys played there at the very end. Amari Evans really didn't do a whole lot out of the off the bench, and could have been a big opportunity for him. Then you look at Michigan. Elliot Cadeau, 8 points, 10 assists. 10 points from Namari Burnett, 12 from Trey McKinney, 27 points, 7 rebounds, 4 assists from Lindeborg, 12 and 5 from Morez Johnson, 11 and 4, and 2 blocks from Ade Mara. And Michigan going to the Final Four to take on an Arizona team that took down Purdue 79-64. This was another game of, they didn't score a lot of points, and that was because Purdue didn't put them to the free throw line a whole lot. There weren't a whole lot of fouls in this game. But man, I mean, you just look. Everybody was producing. 14 from Bradley, 14 from Burries, 18 from Karchenkov, and 20 from Pete. And then Krivas, who only scored 6 points, well, he had 12 boards as well. Trey Kaufman-Renn was not good, was in foul trouble, could not get anything going. Oscar Clough had a great game. I think even Omar Meyer had a good game, but Braden Smith could not get anything to fall. Fletcher Lawyer could not get anything to fall. And when this Purdue team can't score, they're going to look bad, and they did right there. Now maybe the best Elite Eight game ever. UConn 73, Duke 72. Braden Mullins scored 10 points in this game, 4 for 10 shooting, 1 for 5 from 3. But the 3 he hit, I mean, that is, I put that up there on level of tournament threes with Chris Jenkins winning the national championship for Villanova, with Jalen Suggs hitting the half-court shot for Gonzaga. I look at it at the level of the Christian Laettner shot. I mean, the most, it's going to be one of those that is talked about forever. UConn was down by as much as 19, and teams in the Elite Eight that had a 15-point lead, I believe, were somewhere in the 100 and something and 0. No more. And what cost Duke the game? Unnecessary turnover. Now, listen, the Boozer twins were awesome. Caden Boozer, 15 points, 5 rebounds, 6 assists. Cameron Boozer, 27 points, 8 rebounds, 4 assists. Nobody else really did anything. Malik Brown was just running wind sprints pretty much, 17 minutes, didn't take a shot. Isaiah Evans was not good. Dame Sarr was not good. Caleb Foster didn't hit a shot. Patrick Gongba, again, trying to come back from injury, could not hang with Taurus Reed. And Reed, 26 points, 9 rebounds, 10 points from Mullins, 11 from Demery, 10 from Ball. If those guys are able to score at the 8 to 10 points when Alex Caravan can't, UConn could be cutting down the nets 3 times in 4 years. So, in the Final Four, from the East region, UConn, from the South region, Illinois, and big shockers from the West, Arizona, and the Midwest, Michigan. Now, I do think, unfortunately, that the Michigan-Arizona is the de facto national championship game, but I think one of those two teams could beat each other up enough that UConn or Illinois, whoever's able to win that one, is going to be able to bring it home. Early thoughts, I don't know if anybody can hang with Michigan, because when Arizona compares to Michigan, Michigan has experience and they have the veteran leadership that Arizona doesn't really have with a lot of freshmen. UConn, Illinois, that's going to be two tough physical games, and Brad Underwood versus Dan Hurley is going to be an interesting coaching matchup. I am pumped to watch that one on Saturday. Man, college basketball is just the best. And this is a guy smiling whose team lost by 33 points this weekend. And it's just awesome. So we'll take a quick look over at some baseball. I'm going to have to get myself caught back up to match with that. Looking back over the matchups of the weekend, Texas, a 3-game sweep of number 8 Oklahoma, number 7 Georgia, a sweep of unranked South Carolina, Alabama getting a sweep of number 5 Auburn, number 4 Arkansas getting swept at home by an unranked Florida team. Number 6 Mississippi State sweeps Ole Miss. Vanderbilt sweeps Tennessee. Number 21 Tennessee on 3 straight walk-offs, 2 in extra innings. LSU takes 2 out of 3 from number 19 Kentucky, and then number 25 Texas A&M a sweep of Missouri. Now, looking at last night, we had some midweek games. Tennessee was able to roll over, I believe it was Austin Peay, 13-4. Going back and looking at the players of the week, you had Gavin Grahovac from Texas A&M and Seth Dardar from LSU. Pitchers Ruger Riojas and Jackson Barberry from Florida, outstanding, and Jorian Wilson from Texas A&M, the freshman of the week, and very deservingly so. Georgia State with an upset win over Georgia last night, or Georgia actually, was able to come back and win 14-9. But man, Georgia was in a point in time where they could lose. We're going to have a terrible home record. We had a great game last night between Georgia Tech and Auburn. Georgia Tech was able to get the win 13-3 in just 8 innings. Auburn in a bit of a rough spot, but hey, largest midweek attendance in program history last night at Georgia Tech. 4,000 people showed up to a midweek baseball game. Now, it was a top 10 matchup, top 15 matchup, but man, Georgia Tech's the real deal. Missouri had a comeback win over Kansas last night. Kansas was up by as much as 7, but Missouri, I believe, was able to put them away last night. No, Kansas was able to come back and take the win there. But Missouri had a regular season attendance record broken last night as well, with 3,200 fans there at Taylor Stadium. Southern had a lead through 3 against LSU. That's what I love about midweek baseball, because obviously LSU came back and won 16-6. I believe, it was only in 7 innings, so seems like everything is good there. Kentucky had a game last night against Miami, Ohio, a team that I believe was in the tournament last year, but Kentucky able to win that one at 14-11. A lot of runs in that one. Arkansas, the most confusing game ever, had a midweek matchup with Missouri State. It was the 4th largest, and this was at Missouri State. This is the 4th largest crowd in Missouri State history, in program history, and they walked them off in extra innings, 15-14. Really, really rough on the mound, and the Dolphins of Jacksonville were able to take down Florida last night 4-3. And then you go to Vandy, and Connor Hamilton goes 9 innings, 2 earned runs, 11 strikeouts, no walks. He's looking really good. Kind of looking at the field of 64, so to speak, because this weekend did have some implications. I would think that Tennessee is probably on the outside looking in, and Vandy probably on the inside looking out, and probably in that first 4 out, last 4 in type of scenario. If you want to talk about the in basketball terms. But again, Arkansas falls on the road to Missouri State. Missouri An exciting coming back and forth game with Kansas. Unfortunately, the Jayhawks took that one from the Tigers. Auburn got run rolled by Georgia Tech. Florida loses to Jacksonville, and then everyone else was able to handle business. We'll take a look outside the SEC on our next week's episode of the Mark My Words College Sports Show. But that will do it. Not a whole lot else going on today. Again, Wednesdays can be a little slow in the sports world. But right now we're kind of in an awkward middle ground where basketball's still going a little bit. Obviously, not as many games going on. Baseball is really getting appearing in the forefront. I mean, hey, we had Arizona State and West Virginia playing a baseball game on TV, nationally televised on ESPN2 Sunday afternoon. Listen, college basketball is having one of the best tournaments ever. I think college baseball is slated to be that next sport that makes a jump, and it can't happen without the fans. You got people building huge stadiums, you got cool TV deals, and man, college baseball, it's just a ton of fun. And we'll get you caught up a little bit more. That was just an SEC recap. We'll get you caught up with a little more stuff going on around the nation. That will be in the coming weeks. So that will do it for this week's edition of the Mark My Words College Sports Show here on the X Sports Network. No show on Friday. We will be back next week. Probably just one show again next week with all the sports and stuff going on. I may have a game over both shoulders from last night. So that will do it. We will see you guys next week. And so for Michael Marks, this has been the Mark My Words College Sports Show here on the X Sports Network.
Going the distance with local sports. This is the X Sports Network.